everyone, Jane Clark here, Brand Swan. I just want to take a minute to welcome you and also thank our sponsor, Global Merchant Partners. They're a credit card processing company and they specialize in letting you keep more of your money, which is pretty cool. So without them, doing the video content would be almost impossible. It's quite time consuming. And as you know, we do this just to highlight the women in this community. We don't really get anything in return. So thank you so much for GMP for letting us continue to do this for the 7th annual year. So without further ado, let us go into the interview.
Hello, everyone. Today we have Chelsea Clark with us. She is the Organizational Culture and Communications Director at L&W Insurance. Chelsea is the driving force behind the agency's internal culture, employee relations, and external communications. So L&W Insurance loves giving back to the Delaware community, and Chelsea helps make that happen through hosting events that provide support for various Delaware nonprofit organizations. And in her free time, Chelsea works with so many other nonprofit organizations. She is the Charity Liaison for Gals That Give, which is a Delaware nonprofit organization with a mission to cultivate local community nonprofits. They host monthly events that support a different charity every month. Chelsea is also the chair for the Marketing Communications Committee at the WRK Group and has worked with other organizations and initiatives, including the Delaware Community Foundation, Delaware Breast Cancer Coalition, Greater Kent Committee, and Spur Impact. So Chelsea truly embodies the spirit of community service and making a difference, and we are so excited to have her here with us today.
And there's no relation.
No, there's not.
We are not related.
Chelsea and Clark.
No relation whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just get started. Chelsea, let's start at the beginning. Who are you? What do you do? And how did it all start?
I mean, I think you nailed that introduction. God bless you, Kelsey. Thank you so much. Right. So Chelsea Clark, I am the Director of Organizational Culture and Communications at L&W Insurance, and I've been here for 15 years and feel very blessed to have been able to find a place where I was able to grow in my career and then also springboard off of what it started as and grow it into something completely different. So I was originally an insurance agent, and by virtue of the things that make me sing and I'm passionate about, my role continued to evolve over time at the agency. And now I get to oversee the external communications as well as all of the internal employee relations, and trying to, for me, I'm so proud of who L&W is as a small business in the community, in Delaware communities. And we have so much to be thankful for with the mission and the values that we lean on. And then in my role, I get to make sure that our external shield and who we are matches who we are on the inside as well, so that our employees feel that same level of respect and pride for who we are inside as we are outside.
I love that. So you kind of you started out as an insurance agent, and you kind of like built your position to what you wanted to be it today. So what is one piece of advice you'd give someone to starting out in their career who wants to build their career around who they are and what they believe in?
So I would say your voice matters. So ask questions, share your ideas. Don't be scared to kind of have a presence in the rooms and in conversations that you're a part of, because that allows you the opportunity to gain confidence as you're gaining knowledge in any particular industry. But while you're doing that, you're really learning to be comfortable with asking those questions, and that's going to serve you later on. And I think that if you can learn to do that, then when you become the subject matter expert, you can remember how important and critical it is to listen to the people who are just getting started, because they're going to have a new perspective and a different way of doing things that are going to help shift you continuously in your career. So I think step into your voice, don't be scared to ask questions, be present.
So during, building out your career and your own path, did you ever come across a turning point, whether it was in your career or your personal life, and did you have to push through it?
So I think, I'm not even going to say that it was something that I'm going to skew positive, because that's what I tend to do anyway. I'm going to paint a happy face on all the things. Put that ray of sunshine and silver lining on it. But I think looking at it, instead of looking at things that I've had to overcome, because I think that happens to everybody, we all have hurdles that we have to go through in various ways. I think one thing that I can attribute it to is that I had a boss who believed in me from the get-go. And so he really pushed me and was like, you should be a part of this program. You should look into this. I see that you're passionate about giving back to the community. So why don't you take this on for the agency? Why don't you look at this? And so he was really good at pushing me out of my comfort zone, kind of at every single turn. And I think I continue to try and meet him at that place outside of my current comfort zone. And that allows me to keep growing. And I think that's been really beneficial to me.
So how do you take the time for yourself? How do you balance the work and life? You're with L&W Insurance, you're supporting the community, you're part of 5 nonprofit organizations or committees.
Something like that.
How do you take the time to balance work and life?
Candidly, because we can say these things to each other, I don't do it well. I am a work in progress, and I am trying to get better at it. My husband and I recently took a vacation where we were over in California. So I was on a different coast, and I was away from my phone and from my obligations, and I kind of turned everything off. And for the first time in a decade, I was like, oh, you're supposed to do this for your brain. You're supposed to just turn it off, walk away for a little while, everything survives, and just take that time for yourself. And I came back so relaxed and just clear. And it was I got it. People aren't just saying that. That is a real thing. So I'm now making it a mission to take more time like that for myself, or to be at least more thoughtful of the time that I am taking. So I think that if I was going to tell anybody what they need to do, because I'm not great at it, and I recognize it's something I have to work on, but your time is valuable. So be choosy with who you give it to. And I tend to say that my no is broken. So anytime I get approached to do something, I always want to say yes, because I want to help and I want to give back. But I need to also be more thoughtful of that, because I can't be my best self in 100 situations. I need to peel that back. And I think that that's good advice for anybody, is to find those few things that can draw you in.
Wow. I mean, 15 years at a company, especially at your age,
Mm-hmm.
that's a long time. That's half a life, right? So how do you have a really strong sense of loyalty to the organizations that you spend time in? When you commit, you just throw yourself all in, or do you kind of try different things?
I think I have a strong sense of loyalty. That's really important to me. That level of just gaining somebody's trust and then being able to be reliable long-term for them. And I think in today's day and age, it is really easy to kind of look at the next shiny thing or the next thing that's pulling you there. And I would encourage people to do that, because it helps you to grow. But if you are in a place working with an organization, whether it's professionally or personally or on a volunteer, and you're continuing to learn and grow within that organization, then it's still helpful to you. And I always say that, even though I tend to say yes to too many things, I do find myself staying put and continuing to be active in the places where, when I come to a meeting, not only am I giving, but I'm getting. I'm also learning in every single scenario. And that's important to me, is being somewhere where that is happening. It's a two-way street.
What would you say is the most rewarding thing about what you do? And this could be in the insurance world, or even with all of the nonprofits you're part of. What is the most rewarding thing that you're always striving to do?
So, okay, giving a plug to the insurance industry, because I do have to do that. That is part of who I am and my past and my job. I find it rewarding to be able to share with people that insurance isn't that scary, and that as a career choice, it's a good career choice because it's incredibly stable. Death, taxes, and insurance. Insurance touches everybody, whether you're driving an auto and you have to have an auto insurance, or you're a small business owner and you have to insure your business property and your liability, whatever that is. Insurance touches so many people, but it has a bad rap as being like this bill you have to pay every month and you don't want to have to use it, but it's there. But if you can shift the perception on it to understand that it's really about putting you back together whole when tragedy happens, because it will happen, it always does. Being able to have somebody there that can help walk you through that process and help get you back whole, that's a great way to look at the industry as a whole. So I find it rewarding being able to change people's perception on that and understand how critical insurance is in so many different facets. Personally, I really I enjoy helping people step into their potential. Like, I like cheerleading for people and making them see how awesome they are. So when I get to do that with my team members at L&W, or get to do that with organizations and nonprofits that I get to work with, anytime I can lift somebody up and help them see how awesome they are and what their full potential is, that's a win for me.
Sign of a good leader too.
Yeah.
So, which leads perfectly into the next questions is, what change do you want to see in the world and how are you aiding that?
Ooh, more collaboration and productive conversations. I think that I think there's so much value in listening to other people's perspectives. And it's really easy to get mired and siloed in our industries and our thoughts, in the people that we hang around. But there's so much to be gained by surrounding yourself with people who don't see the world the same way that you do, or have different backgrounds and different experiences, because you'll learn from each other. And it doesn't mean that you have to be around people who are going to change you. But it does mean that if you are around people who see things differently, the way that you respond to different scenarios that you're going to find yourself in is a little bit more respectful and a little bit more willing to meet in the middle and find compromises and find meaningful solutions. And I think that that's really important. So for me, I try to make sure that I'm aligning myself with organizations that I think are doing that on a regular basis, that are trying to better our communities and build up the individuals that make up Delaware, but do it from a place where all perspectives are welcome at the table and all voices can be heard. And I think that that's really critical.
I love that. Who inspired you when you were growing up? Did you have a role model or a mentor that you just kind of like, I want to be this person when I grow up?
I don't think I had a specific mentor or role model, but immediately with that question, I picture my mom. And I think that comes from a place where she was a working mom and she was always busy, and that's all I ever knew. That's all I ever watched growing up. So I just always figured I would be in that role. But she was also a stinking ray of sunshine. I mean, everywhere we went, she would know somebody and she'd stop to talk to them if they were in the grocery line or church or wherever it was. And I was like, gosh, she really balances being like busy, but also being somebody who people delight in seeing. And from my perspective as a child, she was like that constant sunshine. And she was also like my greatest adversary when I was a teenager, but she ended up being my best friend when we got older. So I think she passed away after a long battle with cancer several years ago, but I think that I'm still striving to be somebody that she would be proud of and to like emulate that. So I think if you're looking at long-term person that I find to be a role model, it's probably continuing to be her.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dig into some nitty-gritty fun details. What are your top 3 books?
Okay, so I have a confession.
Audible gasp.
Right? I do not take enough time, shocking, to read books, like paper books, but I am an audio book individual.
That audiobooks are just as good as normal books.
And they are efficient because I can be driving my car to a destination and taking in good content. So from an audiobook standpoint, I tend to devour like Brene Brown and Angela Duckworth. I listened to Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, and I don't know if it was his Southern drawl, but it was really entertaining. But actual physical books, I would say, I actually read physically Simon Sinek's Leaders Eat Last, and I really love that one. But Louisa May Alcott's Little Women is a classic. I've read it several times in my life, and I have read it to my daughters, and that one always stands out to me. I love the juxtaposition of all the different personalities and then them still having that love for each other. And then I'm currently reading Daisy and the Six, Daisy Jones and the Six. Is that, yes?
Daisy
Okay.
Jones
And I
and the
think
Six,
I'm very, yes. And I'm very late to the game, but I actually physically have a copy and I am reading that right now. So
it's on my to be read pile. It'll get there.
And then I get to reward myself once I do finish it with actually watching a TV show. So wins.
Yeah, it's a win-win both ways.
Mm-hmm.
What's one question you wished I'd ask you, and how would you have answered it?
What makes you happy, or what brings you joy? I think we ask people what they're doing so often, and not often enough do we ask them what makes them happy. So then now I have to answer it. Okay.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? I enjoy snuggling my daughters when they come up and ask me for hugs. That is like my happy space. And I sniff them a lot, and they think it's weird, but for me as a mom, it's a thing. I enjoy laughing with my husband until like my sides hurt. Even if we're just poking fun of each other, that's really entertaining to me. Long dinners with friends where we're basically solving the world's problems, but also cracking up the entire time. A whiskey drink that has been smoked gets me every time. And I love traveling, and I really love doing anything where I feel like I've made an impact, whether it's at home with my family or at work or with the community. That really brings me joy.
That's awesome.
I have one last question. I don't know, but I'm throwing this out there. But is there a woman in particular that comes to mind, either dead or alive, that you think might have changed the world?
Oh gosh, what a good question.
It can be as small or as large as you'd like, but something that comes to mind is just like a moment in time. It's a tough one.
It is. It's so tough. I feel like I need to roll through. Like my gut, my immediate was RBG, because
yes,
she's just that person who has taught us to step into our voice and to be willing to speak up. And I think that that's so important, right?
Yeah.
So that's that initial that comes to my brain. But I feel like I'm going to think about this for probably weeks on end after this conversation and come up with a whole list.
Yeah, I mean, please do. We'll include it at the end of the article for sure.
I will.
But yeah, you're the first person to mention her, so nice choice.
Yeah,
it's so recent that we don't think, and we're living in the moment, so it's hard to know what the impact is, right?
Right, but I think that we do, because I think anytime you see somebody with that like collared shirt or collared gown, and they like on their shirt, you know that that person has related to what she represented for us as women.
Yeah,
so
it's awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea. You are awesome, and I'm really glad you got to do this interview with us. And wow, you do a lot. Take care of yourself, and thank you for everything you do locally and beyond.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and it was so good seeing your faces today.
One last question.
Monday.
Oh wait, one last question.
Where can we find you online?
Yes.
You, L&W Insurance, your nonprofits.
All the things. So you can find me personally. I have Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. I have not gone into the TikTok world, and I'm barely making it with Reels. So I'm getting there. Otherwise, L&W Insurance's Facebook page and Instagram page and LinkedIn's, and then Gals That Give. Those are the ones that my fingers are all over all the time.